in.
Bye. Keep facing the ring around.
Right, we're not allowed to go hello there because my mum said it was weird. So,
Okay. Hi, pop pickers.
we need like a ringtone or like a jingle.
Slacks.
That could be our new thing.
It was just coming up. That's
Oh,
dingo.
no.
But I can tell.
So we're not allowed to do that. So
Right.
hello everyone.
Hello, everyone.
So we're starting
Episode 8.
episode 8.
Yeah, so
So this week we're going to talk about ghost stories, and we've got a couple each. We're going to touch on some of them, but if we retract before we talk about ghost stories, I'm going to talk about. So, and we never spoke about it a lot, but Emma joined us for the first rugby session with the girls training. And how did you find it?
it honestly, it was really good because I know, like, all the laughing about it, saying I'm not going, it'll kill me, and all of that lot. And I was a bit nervous to go, and I thought it's gonna do me in. Like, the girls don't really know me, and I thought, oh my god, how's this really gonna go? But like we've said on all of the other podcasts, you know, all shapes, sizes, ages are welcome. I loved it. It was really good fun. We had a laugh.
We were screaming.
We were screaming through it. The girls were really welcoming. You know, it was. I did really enjoy it. You know, jokes apart. So, and I probably will definitely go again. I won't commit to going. I'm coming every week because I just can't. I just ain't got the time.
But you know what? That is the point of it.
But
if
there.
You say, I want to be in the rugby chat. Let me know every Thursday when you're in.
Yeah.
When you do. Well, we were there every Thursday. But I can come this Thursday, or even if it's just for catch up and have a laugh, you know.
And it was, and then afterwards we went in the club, didn't we? Sat in there, honestly.
We had a chat,
just had a chat.
Drink.
But so for anyone who's worried about it or just want anything, I would say definitely just go. Just go. It, you know.
Message me or message the chat if you fancy getting out of the house for an hour. It is good laugh.
It was.
And with the warmer weather coming. The lighter evenings, we don't need to lug lights and that about, because it took us half hour to set lights up on my husband one day, I didn't know what I was doing. But it was good.
It was really good. It was really good. Yeah, definitely. Definitely go again.
And talking about rugby, the boys, Cliff Crusaders, they've got a semi-final against Snowdon on Saturday, this Saturday coming.
Yeah.
At 1 o'clock kick-off. Cliff Club, home ground. Barbecue after. We're going to do teas and coffees.
Yeah.
We want to give the boys as much local support as possible. So if you live in Cliff or the nearby area and you want to support a local team and just turn up and see what it's about, that's where we're going to be on Saturday. So Village Club Cliff, 1 o'clock kick-off on the rec ground just behind the Memorial Hall.
It'd be a great atmosphere, honestly. They, you know, all the support that we can give them.
We give out, we do autographs.
Yeah. We may even let you in on a little podcast. We might do a couple of reels while we're out there. If you are lucky enough to know us or be in our phone book, you might get a mention.
And if we write a quick book, we could sell copies.
We'll sign it. We'll do sign-ins. Picking up on that as well, there is going to be another stall out there, Lindsay's Cupcakes and Bakes.
Really good.
Really great little business. I mean, her cakes and cookies are just on another level. So if you fancy a nice little sweet treat as well, come out there.
She's going to be selling them.
She's going to be selling them like mini loaf cakes and that, but they are amazing. Come out if you want to come out for a couple of hours, and it'd be a great atmosphere. They're also showing all 3 Six Nation games afterwards in the club, so
it's going to be a proper good day.
It'll be a really good day.
I'll be smashed out mid. You won't recognise me by the end of the evening.
Yeah, I'll be lying in the field covered in my own sick with a bit of luck. So watch out for that.
What we could do is little reels. Of us during the day, and
then we can do
this is my name's Jess and this is my first drink.
And then by the end of it, you're naked, hanging out of a tree. Can't take your eyes from your elbow and all that lot. Be like that. That'd be good.
That'd be good. All right then.
What about the pub quiz? We did?
Oh my god! So we went out with Spencer.
Yep, Spencer
and
Jewis.
Dean,
and Luke and Lindsay.
And we went to a pub quiz at the Six Bells in Northfleet. Really good questions. It was a good laugh.
We had such a scream up there.
I was screaming of laughter.
It was. We had a really good night up there because we said in our previous podcasts is we wanted to go to some pub quizzes just to
we'll do another one. If you've got another local place that you think would be good and you know when it is or whatever, we've been googling that, but
so we're going to fit a couple of more in, but it was a really good night.
They didn't do any food,
so we had about 48 bags of crisps, Twiglets,
I'll never have a Pringle. when it
Pringles,
comes out.
honestly, I must have put on about 14 stone that night. Because that's all we had. We just went, every time we went to the bar, didn't we, to get a drink, and we went, oh, can we have another 8 bags of different flavours? They must have just thought we was mental. But...
And I had a vodka lemonade, and honestly, it was like drinking fire. It was so hot. I was like, wow. I was half cut.
It was good, and that was a school night and all.
Yeah, I know.
That's why we ended up laying over the benches, I think, in the back garden.
Yeah. We was trying to because we said we was going to rate the pub and rate the quiz. Quiz was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, snacks were good, and drinks were hot, and the benches were hard because we laid on them, and Dean was being a knob and wouldn't film it properly.
It was really good. It was a good. If you want to go up and have a pub quiz up there, it's, I'll definitely go up there again.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, so that's what we've been picking up on.
Mm-hmm.
So other than that, not much else been going on really. Just
same old at work and stuff.
Absolutely.
We're going to do sort of every other week, did we say?
Yeah.
So it gives us time to sort of gather information and stuff.
And editing and getting people gives people chance to get stories in when we say what we're going to talk about. So, but so we're going to start doing it sort of once a fortnight, unless there's any sort of big things coming up, and then we're squeezing another one in. So we'll probably do some reels like we said on Saturday for the boys rugby and see how that goes. Some of that might not be able to be aired, but we're just watch that space. So yeah.
Good. Okay, so we start with ghost stories.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, but I've got 4 stories.
Right, okay. Well, you start on some of yours, because I haven't got as many as that. I've only got 2.
Okay.
But so you go on yours.
Okay, so my first one, this is actually one of my experiences. Now, if anyone said to me, "Do you believe in this stuff?" I'm quite a rational person, and I'm like, no. But something happened, and for as long as I can remember, in the back of my mind, I always thought, is there something else? And I'll tell you what happened. So when I was a little girl, up till I was about 6 or 7, there was a guy that used to go into the Victoria Inn pub that used to be run by Peter Hicks. And when I was little, a guy called Ted...
Peter Sutcliffe.
No, fucking hell. No, Peter Sutcliffe didn't live there, thank God. Peter Hicks. And this guy in there who was called Ted. And Ted had, I think he had a walking stick and a hearing aid. I always remember him, white hair. And he was a friend, or he knew my dad really well. And when I used to go in there, he'd always give me £1. I think he was about 8 years old. Give me £1. Well, I'll give you, I know you're Ronnie's girl, I'll give you £1. For as long as I could remember. Well, as I got older, and obviously as you do, kids get older, they go out with their mates and whatever, I just I always knew who he was. I just never, never went in the pub anymore, or whatever the reason may be. Then one day, about 6 or 7 years later, I was walking up Swingate Avenue with my friend Kelly Clifford, and it was about 12, 13, and walking up the road, and on the corner of Swingate Avenue there was a man in the garden, and he was leaning on a spade, he was leaning on a spade, and my friend Kelly went, "Oh, he's looking at you, do you know who he is?" And I went, "Oh my God," "that's Ted from the Vic, he used to give me £1. I haven't seen him for years." I went, "That's mad." She went, "Wave at him." I went, "No," he won't remember me. I went, "But I'll tell my mum though, that is crazy." Anyway, I thought, I don't want to wait because he's not going to remember me from all that time ago. So anyway, I forgot about it. And I went home and I went, "Mum, you never guess who I've seen." I went, "I've just seen Ted in his garden. Just leaning on, me and Kelly see him." She was like, "Ted who?" And I went, "Ted from the Vic." She went, "Ted's been dead 6 months."
No.
And because I'm so rational, I think, look, couldn't have been him. But in my heart of hearts, I know that it was him.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have looked at him and gone, "That is Ted." He must have either been his fucking double.
Honestly, I knew it was him.
Like somebody else. It's not like somebody else has moved in the house that is absolute the spit of him and is standing in the garden
and
at that time.
I've never really been able to explain it. And somebody said to me, or said to my granddad, that I wasn't the only one that had seen him. And I thought that was strange. But I don't know. Really, really bizarre. I've never forgot it. Never quite really understood it.
It's strange, isn't it? Because I'm a bit like that. I've got to see it with my own eyes to believe it. I'm not saying there's not afterlife or there's not things like that, but I'd have to see it to experience
exactly
it.
That. That's why I quiz everything. I question everything.
Yeah, and you've got to sort of but that's like one of my stories that happened, and I still to this day
Go on, you tell your
couldn't.
one.
So when the kids were little, especially Bailey, when she was really young, when Darren's dad was alive, he always used to, whenever he come round our house, Bailey, well, it wasn't just him, it was anybody, but mainly Darren's dad, Bailey used to say to him, penny, penny, so he had to pay a penny to come in. So he always used to have a little bag of pennies on him. So she'd go run, I'd go, Grandad Dave's here, and she'd sort of, toddle over to the door, and he'd always give her these pennies. So she used to go and put them up in her money box or whatever, or be in her bedroom. So he did that for years as she was growing up. And then when we lost Dave, it weren't until I was taking, I think it was when I was taking Ben to school, and Bailey might have been going to play school at the time. I mean, she was still quite young. I've come home, so it's about 2 weeks after he had gone. And I've come home this day, Darren's at work, he'd left early, I'd come home, and for the first 2 days, every single light in the house was on. Every bedroom light, the landing light, the downstairs light, the kitchen light, and I used to think, when it first happened, the first couple of days, I used to think, they're bloody kids, I didn't think anything of it, but then I know you wouldn't leave every light on. So it happened, I'd come home the next day and all these lights were on and off. It was doing me head in, because I couldn't explain it, so I'd go and turn all the lights off. About a week after that, I've come home and I've gone to go up the stairs, and all up the stairs were pennies. All up the, well, I shit myself but there was all these pennies, about 2 or 3 in a pile, all up the stairs. And I thought again, Bailey's been playing with her pennies, and she's made little. Yeah. And so this happened again. This went on for about a week. I'd come home and there'd be a pile of pennies on top of the landing.
Had he been buried at that? Had you had the funeral at that point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but there'd either be a couple of pennies on each step, or there'd be a pile of pennies on the top of the landing. And we hadn't long had a new washing machine as well. And years ago, Darren used to work with his brother delivering washing machines all over the country. That's what they used to do. So they knew sort of quite a bit about, fixing and repairing and that lot. And we'd had a brand new one from Argos. And we hadn't had that long, and it broke down. It weren't draining, wouldn't drain the water. So we had all this. So him and Richard pulled it out, took it out the garden, emptied all the water. I took the back of it off, and stuck in the pipe was all these pennies.
Oh my God! That's so weird.
I couldn't explain where all these pennies were cut. This went on for about 2 weeks. I'd either come home and all the lights would be on, or I'd find piles of pennies. One day I come home and there was, I thought, what's that? And then as you walk through my archway into the dining room, as I've looked, there was 2 or 3 piles of pennies all under the table as well. So if they weren't on the landing, there'd be all these pennies up the stairs, or you'd find like piles of them under, and that done my head in. But when I used to speak to Darren's mum about it, I told her, because it really felt, I kept saying, it's Dave, I'm telling you, that it's got to be him. And she wouldn't, because she was a Christian, she went, that is not Dave, I'm telling you, that's the devil. She said, and he's playing tricks with you. Well, that done me in even more. Oh my God. So yeah, I've never forgot. Whenever I see pennies and that, I always think of him.
Yeah.
But it's really weird. I mean, she used to do it to my dad as well. She used to do it to anybody. Come in, she'd go, penny, penny, and you'd have to give her a penny to come in. And she'd never leave them lying around. She was, I think about in case she swallowed them or whatever. So if she'd put one on the side or whatever, we'd always put them up and put them in her money box. We never used to leave them all lying about. So to come home and find them on all the stairs, it done me in. And that always made me think, oh, I don't know, there's something. But yeah.
Do you know, when we lost our dad, it was a really difficult time, because I felt like we were too young. We were, what was it, 3 years ago, like 35. It's no age to lose a parent. And the 3 weeks before, so when he passed away, and then I think about 3, 4 weeks after we had the funeral, I remember, out of nowhere, the day after he died, all the lights in the house, particularly one cabinet, were really flickering. Like, my mum called an electrician out, and Dean had a look at it, and they looked at the gate outside in case the gate was blowing something like this. This went on for nearly 2 weeks, and we couldn't find any fault. There was nothing wrong, and the cabinet would just flicker. And in that cabinet was all the crystals that my dad had bought my mum over the years. And we sort of I didn't feel scared or anything. Like, it was a weird situation. I don't know how to explain it. And me and my mum and my sister were sat in the front room, and what would happen was every night we'd come in, we'd sit down and we'd talk about what had happened, we'd talk about the situation. It's almost like you're going over it in your mind. Yeah. It was good to talk about it. And as soon as we started talking about it, the cabinet would go off. And I don't mean just on and off, I mean for ages.
Yeah.
And we used to sort of half laugh about it and half think, oh my God, like...
Yeah.
And then it went on for so long that eventually my sister turned around and went, Dad, if that's you, it's starting to frighten everyone, can you stop?
Yeah.
And by God strike me dead right in this seat, it stopped and it never flickered again.
Yeah, because I think knowing your dad, he would have thought that was funny. He would have thought at the beginning doing it...
Or to let us know that he was there and that it was okay. Like, I don't know.
But once obviously Jodie had said that, it's frightening you all.
Honest to God.
For it, he would have just gone...
Us three just sort of all looked at each other as if to say... I mean, I sat there with my mouth open. Nothing coming out of it because I could not believe that had happened. Yeah. And the thing is, again, because I'm trying to rationalise everything, I thought it's all in my head because I'm expecting it to be in because of what's happened. But there was no explanation for that situation. My mum went to a medium and I don't really believe in any of that. And because I never wanted to go because I don't ever want to be disappointed, so I'd rather not go. And she went to a medium like the same sort of time, or might have been a bit after actually this was happening. Or my sister went, and they said to her, she went, I can see two men. Bear in mind, my sister only gave her first name, no connection to online media or nothing. And she said, I can see two men banging metal. And obviously my dad was a scrap man. And she went, there's an older man with him. And my dad's dad used to do the same thing. So it was like, okay, that's relevant, I suppose. And then she went, and you've got, she said about 3 children. I don't know if she said one was a bit out of whack sometimes. And something about you've got a sister who, she might look like she don't need a love, but she does. And we sort of laughed about it. And then when my mum went, oh, no, sorry. And she said to her, I keep seeing, I don't know how to explain it. She went, I keep seeing a rocket. And my sister went, nobody knows that when my dad went to work, they called him Rocket Ron. That was exactly what they called it. I don't know whether they said that to my sister or my mum. But they're 2 separate readings, really weird things come up. And you know what it's like when they go, I can see a dog. Well, everyone's had a fucking dog that's died. That's a rubbish thing to say. But she kept saying the dog, she kept going on about this poxy dog. And then out of nowhere, right at the end of the session, the woman went, who's Ruby? And it was the fucking dog. That was the dog.
It's mad, isn't it?
It's just really weird, unexplainable things that...
Like, and that can't just be coincidences because, imagine how many people of that's happened to where they've got an experience when a loved one's gone. So it can't just be that amount of...
That's just odd.
Do you know what I mean?
I don't want to say
it can't just be...
Because I don't really understand it. But, really, really weird. I've got a funny one, then you do that one because that's a good one. And
Go on then.
I've got one I'll read online.
Alright.
This is from someone we know.
Right, okay. I'll bet we'll get through it and then I shall know who it is.
Me and my son went to Fort Amherst in Chatham one year. And we was locked in for the night.
Oh no, it is.
We was walking around with this medium who was absolutely shit. And at about 3 in, she started saying she could feel someone making contact with her. And that she said she knew because she could get these feelings in her belly. So this is from the guy. So I told her, so can I. And I can feel it in my belly. And she was convinced that I had the gift. I suddenly let out the loudest fart anyone could have ever done and said, I think the spirit has left me. She was so disgusted. I wasn't allowed to go back.
I know exactly who that is.
For God's sake, honestly. I really ruined that thing because I said loudest. Loudest
I didn't pick up on it though, Jess.
Oh my god, I am so rubbish. Right, go on then, because this is really interesting.
Right, so I did find this interesting because the reason being, I remember my mum, when I was a kid, right, my mum had a best friend called Pam. We always called her Auntie Pam, but that was her best friend and her husband Ray. So my mum and dad always used to go out with Pam and Ray. They used to go into Maidstone quite a lot and, play euchre, things like that, go out, and drinks nights and all that. So I remember my mum coming home one night from this night out, and she was all in a flap, and we was going, oh, what's happened? She told me about this story, that when she went up Bluebell Hill, she had seen a woman standing in the road, and she'd almost swerved. She thought she was going to hit her, and she swerved out the way, and as she's going, did anyone see her? Like, they was going, no. She went, she literally stepped out in front of her. When they've looked in the wing mirror, this woman is nowhere to be seen. Right, so, but my mum was convinced, and she used to tell everybody about this story. So when we said about doing ghost stories, I thought, because I wanted to pick up on something like, and that's the only really thing, other than these pennies, that from, obviously, I didn't really have any, thankfully, because I'd have shit myself, I didn't really have any ghost stories, so I thought, right, I'm going to Google, and I sort of put in Bluebell Hill. So, for those that are local, obviously Bluebell Hill, there is a real story. So I'm going to read it out so it made sense when I started reading this, but oh my God, that's what my mum was talking about.
Oh my God, no way.
So okay. I'll read it. So this is the true story behind the Bluebell Hill ghost. So the main road linking Medway and Maidstone has been the topic of many ghostly sightings over the years, and it all started back in 1965. On November the 19th, Suzanne Brown and her two friends tragically died in a car crash. The 24-year-old was returning from her hen night when her Ford Cortina spun out of control on the A229, colliding with a Jaguar heading the other way. Susan was due to marry RAF technician Brian Whitten the following day, and despite a common belief that she died on the road, it was actually her friend Judith Lingham who passed away there. But the tragedy has also left a mysterious legacy, with explained visions being reported throughout the 1960s and the 70s at the site, although ghostly sightings there have said to date back even further to 1930. For the 50th anniversary of the car crash, a number of spiritual believers gathered outside the Lower Bell pub nearby. Sonia Roseman, who was a filmmaker, released a drama entitled The Ghost of Bluebell Hill in 2014. The 39-year-old from Rochester said, I think it frightens people way too much to talk about it, but there are still things going on up there to this day. When it was the 50th anniversary, the paranormal teams picked up some weird stuff. They had this device that meant you could hear the ghost, and it picked up some voices screaming, shouting for help. That really made me laugh, because I was thinking, really? But anyway, I think the whole place is tragic, and there is such a bad feeling there. Miss Rosamond filmed shots from her movie along the road and carried out extensive research into the history of the area. She added, there had been a motorcycle crash there just days before the filming, so it's still going on these days. There were a lot of people who didn't want me to make this film because they were worried something would happen to me. When I was researching it, I put pictures up in my kitchen, and just days later, my flat burnt down, and I was like, I had to read that bit again. So she was doing all this research towards her film, and she's put these pictures up in her kitchen for the research, and then days later, her flat burnt down.
Oh my God!
Isn't that mad? Right, so she put so days later, my flat burnt down, but the pictures weren't destroyed. They never burnt.
No.
Yeah. I thought, I have got to make the film. I've got to go on, and I must make this film. The road is just a really eerie, nasty road. The whole place had bad karma about it. Every time I go there, I have to pinch myself and say nothing will happen. Back in 1972, Bob Vanderpeer said he gave a lift to a girl on the hill, only to later turn round and discover that the hitchhiker had actually vanished from the back of his car.
Oh, I've heard that.
So he had actually stopped to pick somebody up, and that was a young girl, and that obviously he's nattering to her, turned round, she'd just gone, she weren't in the car. In 1971, James Skeen was driving home from work when a girl in her early 20s suddenly appeared. I know. Hurley, in her early 20s, suddenly appeared in front of his car. He gave her a lift to Chatham, but when she got out, she had disappeared. She just disappeared. It's like she got out the car and then just vanished. There's also been stories of a girl who stares into the eyes of drivers as she steps out into the road, unable to stop cars crashing into her, but then when a driver checks to see if she's okay, she's vanished. So that is my story. That is my local story. How mad is that? And that done my head in, because I remember the only reason I was thinking of ghost stories was about my mum telling her about this story about this woman
on
Bluebell Hill. They've been out for Maidstone with my Auntie Pam and Uncle Ray. And they was coming home in obviously my mum was driving, and they was coming back from Maidstone.
And she said this quite rational,
yeah,
she, like?
My mum won't believe in anything like that. And this woman was about to step out, and she screamed, going, "Did you see your dad?" And I was going, no. And she looked in her mirror, and I remember her telling me that. So when I typed into Google up about stories, and it came up, the ghost of Bluebell Hill, and I thought, what's that all about? And when I was like, oh my God, that's the story that my mum told me.
Oh my God.
So that is, but what about that woman having all them pictures, doing that film in 2014? She's done it, and then her flat burnt down. Thought of that teacher to muck around.
Don't mention the dead, mate.
Just leave it. Leave it. So yeah. So that's really my stories, really. But yeah.
Right,
so
I'll read that one out that I texted you.
Right.
This is just something that I googled, and I just thought it was a bit weird. Right, it's a bit weird.
I have to go then because it's about.
Yeah, it's well known. Okay.
There you go.
Right. So this is from a lady that I googled on or researched on Google. I currently reside in my family home with my husband and 3 sons. I have fond memories of our home as a little child. There are also many memories which I wish I could tuck away in a little box and store in the back of my brain, never to be found again. We moved into this home in 1988 and I was only 6 years old. From what I remember, it was all good and well, but as I grew older, things started to change. I was about 10 or 11 when our family began experiencing supernatural occurrences with my mum. Most of it was in our bedroom. The room always had an eeriness to it. It was in the front of the house facing the east. My bedroom as well was alongside my parents' room, but their room never warmed up. The sun never warmed up the room. There was always a chill in there, even on the hottest summer day. My mum always said that as soon as my dad bought the house, it was as though he bought a coffin. That's how he felt about it.
It's like that room I stayed in Boxton Hall.
Oh, I can't open that, all flies everywhere. As I grew older, I began to understand what she meant. Her happy life had soon become like a death sentence for her as the time went by. She began getting sick. At first it would be headaches and body pains. We were also struck with tough financial times. As little children, my brother and I didn't fully understand the extent of my parents' battles, as most kids don't. My dad did his best and my mum made sure there was always a hot meal and a roof over our heads at night. My mum became very sick and paranoid over time. She also had become very pessimistic toward life in general. I watched as a little girl, I was only 14 at this point, how my mum fought with thin air and ended up losing 2 of her front teeth. She obviously had knocked her own teeth out of her, but stupid bird, no. She was I think actually she wasn't very mentally well.
No.
She was a small petite woman, but when she had what I would call these demonic attacks, it's like she would become a different person. She'd start speaking in an African language and laugh and then cry and say she was an African person and wanted her hand and legs back. My mum actually became disabled after a stroke in 1997 at the age of 45. Even when she was in her normal senses, she would say that she would dream of a young African male asking her please return his hand and his leg. And this went on for a long time, for years.
Oh, I'd have been gone. I'll tell you,
She would often complain that something would sit on the bed next to her. Sometimes she would wake up with scratch marks over her body. She was really fair-skinned, so the marks would be very visible. There was times she would awaken with marks over her neck, which would look like love bites or hickeys, and we would all laugh because we knew nobody was there, and this would only happen when my dad was on night shift. So they laughed at her about it. There was one day we were all downstairs and we could hear the furniture being moved upstairs in the room. This is when it escalated. When we got upstairs, all the bedding was strewn across the floor and the bed was moved into the opposite direction. So these were not so fond memories of my parents' room. The only time I felt a sense of warmth in that room was the day that my mum passed away. She lay on the bed and I lay beside her, and I literally felt from the pit of my stomach a warmth come over me whilst I was in the room. It is my belief that whatever spirit that had been attacking her had finally left her. After both my parents passed away, we, as per our customs and rituals, performed a cleansing of the entire home. My son now lives in that bedroom, occupies that bedroom, and he loves it. He says he feels like it brings him closer to his grandparents who he loved, and he was also their favourite. The room is now very light and airy. There have been no paranormal happenings since her passing, and my dad used the room for 4 years after, and my son used to share the room with him. I, however, will not ever sleep there, even if I was paid to.
I don't think I would either.
I'll burn the house down.
Because the minute she started saying that she's got an African she's got his hands and foot, I'd have been gone. I said, right, that's it.
That reminds me.
That's that's like Amityville Horror. That is. Yeah. That's like poltergeist activity.
Remember we went to watch Paranormal. We went to watch Paranormal Activity, and I think I probably didn't sleep for 4 days.
Well, part of that film, the very first one we see, was when they came. You know that they came out the bedroom and there was a loft hatch. Yeah. Right? Well, what's that?
And he kept taking piss out.
And I know. But when we first, and when we first watched that film, and she come out of our bedroom is the loft hatch. Well, I ended up making Darren get in a washing up bowl, and I was going to have to pee in it because I would not go under that loft hatch. I was so, and as much as that for me, if you talk about ghost stories or scary movies, things like that, and Freddy Krueger and Jason and all that, like, yeah, it's gory and that. But for me, that actually gets to me and really panics me is Paranormal Activity, poltergeist, stuff like that. Well, it's like I don't know how people can do Ouija boards.
Never,
because I don't believe, like you, I'm quite optimistic, but I still don't think that nothing's going to happen. I'm not that stupid to know that I've had a couple of things.
I wouldn't mess about with what I don't understand.
Exactly that. So I would never ever be a part of it or do one because I think you don't know and you never know what you're going to drag. And honestly, that would finish me off. I was absolutely.
Yeah, no, I couldn't
cope with that. So yeah, but interesting stories, isn't it? It's mad, isn't it? And that's what I'm saying earlier. You know when you were saying about the lights with your dad and that, and like the pennies that when Dave died, is that there can't be that many coincidence is a coincidence, isn't it? Like you can't have that many amount of coincidences all across the world happening to all these people when somebody passes.
Yeah.
There's got to be some sort of truth to.
I don't know whether there's some sort of energy like when someone dies. Or,
is it what happens when?
I don't know whether your brain is overstimulated by thinking, I hope I sense something because then I'll feel peace.
You're looking for something.
You're looking for it. Like I'd never sit here and say, yeah, no, it happened to me and I believe it because there's always a part of me that's not sure.
Yeah.
I can't explain it either, and I can't explain Ted.
No. And I'd never be able to explain that amount of pennies being left. Because the kids would never have left pennies like that all over. It was as if I don't know, it is really strange. But, so yeah, what are people's faults? It'd be nice to hear for people to sort of, message us and go, have they had any experiences like that? What do you lot believe that there is an afterlife? What are your thoughts on it? Are you absolutely a non-believer? No, it's absolutely load of shit.
This is quite a big topic.
It is,
so it'd be interesting to because we didn't get a lot of feedback. I'm not going to lie, and I get it because we've only got like 371 followers.
Yeah, actually, it was 372. I'm going to say that somebody's unfollowed us because on Sunday we had 372, and we was well on our way to the 400 mark.
Yeah.
But today I've checked. And we've now got 371. Oh. So somebody's unfollowed us, and we are going to find out who it is. And we're going to out you. We're going to name and shame you.
Oh, I feel a bit sad about that.
Yeah, so did I. I was like, oh my God, but never mind. So yeah, message us. Let us know. Has anyone had anything weird like that? What are your thoughts? Do you believe in it? Do you not? Oh yeah, it'd be interesting.
So we was thinking about doing some different things to film and put online, and we want to do this indoor skydiving thing, which is another story, but maybe for Paranormal Activity we could go and stay in like England's
you can I can't honestly, I mean that will be a funny film, that will that would be the funniest podcast.
You'd make me worse.
I would absolutely lose it, but
No,
I'm not going to say on camera right now that I would do it. I'd have to think about it because if we like don't put me
I
in,
get you. Yeah.
yeah, I would.
We do the indoor skydiving. We're
Yeah.
going to do that.
That'd be a good watch. So that'd be coming. So keep tuned in for that. So yeah, we're going to do that. That when we come walking out like Dangerous Brian and
I'll
he
have
chucks
to
me in
wear
that.
a nappy.
Yeah, so will I.
Because I'll be smothered.
He puts me in that wind tunnel. I get sucked up like a fucking
If I look
Dyson.
at
That's
you and
it.
your mouth's going, oh, that'd be it. I'm like, well, that's one for the
Somebody's
men,
bound to
isn't it?
say something about the size of my lips.
Probably.
Yeah, so there'll be a joke there somewhere. But yeah. So keep tuned in, guys.
Thank
And
you so much.
yeah,
Please
and
follow us.
Yeah, like us.
Like us.
Do
Share
not
with friends,
unfollow
invite
us.
everyone.
Yeah. And if you ain't doing nothing Saturday, see you at the rugby.
We'll see you at rugby.
Come on, Crusaders.
Woo!